People say, oh, it doesn't matter. Like organic cotton is just like a marketing ploy. I'm like, do you want a byproduct of the oil and gasoline industry in your vagina?
Literally. Welcome to another episode of the I'm Uncomfortable podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Melissa.
And today we are so excited. We have a special guest with us, and Melissa's going to tell you all about how they met. Yeah. And I'm so excited to just go over everything that you have to share.
Yeah, so I actually met Val last fall, I think. We both follow a sustainable influencer. Her name is Climate Diva on Instagram, so you definitely follow her. She actually has some really cool projects coming up. But yeah, that's how we met. We both went to an event that she was hosting.
The beach, right?
Yeah, Bruce's Beach. It was a yoga at the beach and then a beach cleanup afterwards. So that's how we met. We all kind of mingled and chat about what we do and you know, our interests, and that's how we connected. So I figured I'd reach out to her because I knew that she founded this period care product. So I was like, oh, all right, that's something that's relatable and an uncomfortable topic.
Yes. Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so Val, I'll kick it off to you to introduce yourself, and as typical for our guests that come on, feel free to share something that has made you uncomfortable lately.
Well, my name is Valeria Emanuel. I'm one of the co-founders of the period care brand Rif Care, and something that makes me uncomfortable lately is the proliferation of disinformation on the internet about all things. I mean, so many things, but especially as it relates to women's health. And also, I think, you know, conventional versus organic products and kind of what's been happening in food and personal care and beauty in the past few decades. So, yeah we need to spread the truth about it.
Well, you're here to talk more about what you do and to do that. So you want to explain what your product is to everyone?
Yes. So Rif Care is the first of its kind period care brand. We make products out of hemp fiber. So hemp fiber is amazing, right? Like it's great for the environment. It's high performing. It absorbs moisture. It's moisture wicking. It's antibacterial. So we knew when we started this, I mean, me and Rebecca both had our own hormone health issues, and that really was why we wanted to start the brand. First, I was having them a few years ago. I was living in Portugal, and I was just going through it. I was at the clinic every single week. I was having blood tests done. Everything was always off. I was having yeast infections and UTIs and, you know, like low energy, horrible cramps.
All uncomfortable things.
All uncomfortable things. And then I just realized, I was like, I need to start changing the products that I'm using. So as I did more research, I just realized there was a lot of crunchy organic brands, and I really wanted to create a brand that was sexy and also innovative. So we are the first brand to use hemp fiber in period care. So we wanted to innovate in materials, and we also wanted to create something that was completely biodegradable, right? So our pads and our tampons are working towards having the period underwear be biodegradable, although they are hemp fiber or organic cotton now, but they have some stretch because you ladies wanted the stretch. So it's like we're going to figure out how to make biodegradable stretch next. But how can we create something that we know is going to be hormone safe? So that really was why we started the brand. So I started it. Rebecca came in a few months later, and she's my best friend, and she was also having these issues, and she's a scientist, and I was just like, you're brilliant, and I can't do this without you. So then she came on like 3 months later, and we've been just rocking it since then. So it's been 2 years.
That's amazing, and that's so great to hear. Periods, we've talked about this on the show plenty of time. Like, periods are so uncomfortable. Melissa actually got me into tracking my cycle. I was very resistant to it, and I think part of it was just this discomfort of like, it just feels uncomfortable to talk about, and I kind of want to pretend that it's not a thing and just like keep moving with my life. And I also feel like we always talk about patriarchy, but I also feel like we're kind of programmed to think that we're supposed to like persevere through it. So like, we're going through cramps and we're still going to work. We're bleeding nonstop and we're still doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing and more. And so that's just been generally uncomfortable to speak about and exist through. It's been hard.
I know. Well, I feel like there's certain types of things in life where you have to kind of move through them, right? Like there's difficult things, but you have to move through them. But with your period, if it's always difficult, you should be running away from that, right? Like we don't need to move through that part of life.
Why it's like
we should be like, no. I want to be on the opposite side where I'm not having pain and discomfort, where I'm feeling more, you know, in my body than having this experience that just feels like I can't control anything. So I think that's a lot of what I like to talk about in my education is like, I mean, my platforms, I kind of just talk about everything. It's like ADD. This day I'm like, let's talk about therapy today. And then today I'm like, let's talk about women's health. And then I'm like, let's talk about video games. You know,
but it's life, right? Like there's
life.
So many things going on. And like being, you know, having your period is one of those things. And I think every person that has a period is always on the search for how can we make it more comfortable and how can we make it. And like Vanessa said before, she essentially didn't really feel like wanting to track her cycle because she didn't want to give it more power over the way that it affects her life. And I know that in the past you've had issues too with your cycle and like not being regular and all those things. And so why would I want to even give it any more time of day? And for me, I looked at it as the opposite, where it's like, okay, let me understand the science behind this, what is quote unquote normal and what I'm experiencing compared to that, and let me track this so that I could work with it instead of against it.
Yeah.
So
like, I'm going to take the power.
Right. Take that power back. And I think, you know, the products that you end up using, because I've tried all kinds of different products. I was just telling Val off camera
Cups,
that I was like,
discs, all the things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a cup girly right now. Like I've been using that. I remember when I first started using that, I was like, this is weird. Like it feels so weird.
I still can't do it.
Wait, could you feel it? What do you mean it feels weird? Or is it just like the process?
The process of like, because I was never really like a tampon girly. I was very much a pad girly. So like I've tried the like washable pads and things like that too that didn't really work for me. So I was very much like tampons, and I grew up in like a Roman Catholic household where tampons were like
losing your virginity.
Yeah,
you can't use
literally
those.
asked me. She was like, "How did you know where it goes?" And I was like, "I mean, I just feel like you."
There's a hole.
Right.
That's where it goes.
I just felt like that was the only place.
The bigger hole.
Right. Like, it's not going my butt. Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
Mom went. And she was like,
I think some people probably put it up there. That's how disconnected they've been from their bodies.
Probably.
But speaking to your point, what I think is really funny is that I did see it as like, this is just another thing as a woman that I have to do. That's really how I saw it. But now it's like, it's something that I get to do. I get to track my cycle. I get to have this power over this thing in my life. And it's not going to be forever. Unfortunately, it is another 30 years for me because women in my family has menopause kind of late. But, you know, it is something that I get to do, especially for me. It's like, it's birth control and it's cycle syncing, and it's also hormone balance, and it's also hair, skin, and nails and diet. Like, it's all wrapped into that, you know, tracking.
Yeah. And now it feels good to track. But to Melissa's point, and I'm glad that we have your period underwear here. I've been dying to try like a good quality period underwear, but I was experiencing severe bleeding for like 2 years minimum, and it was just like it was ridiculous. Like it was
to the
sometimes
point
just
you were
like,
getting woozy and like
I had to go to the ER multiple times, and every time.
What started it? Do you know if there's something you did or like?
No idea.
Yeah.
And of course they don't know. The doctors don't know because every time I'd go to the ER, they'd be like, "Oh, it's okay. Just like here's a couple of pills,
ibuprofen.
Yeah,
go
here's
home.
like 10 ibuprofen." And I was like, I'm not cramping.
Yeah.
I'm just bleeding.
Yeah.
And I'd have to wear like what's it called? Like the super like thick pads. Like I'd like wear double because I'd be out and then I'd feel it, and it was a whole mess. Like I'd be at work and I'd feel it, and like one
with
time,
2 pads on,
literally, and one time I felt
fighting
it. I just,
for your
you know, you
life.
feel it, and I felt like a clot kind of came out, and then like I looked down and like blood was running down my leg.
Yeah,
and I had to like run to the bathroom. I was like, someone cover my class.
Yeah,
I need to run to the bathroom to take care of this.
Yeah,
it was 2 years of that.
Wow.
Every time I would go back, it was just, and it's like years of like overusing pads, and then they're all like the plastic, and then feeling bad about the environment, and then staining multiple things. Yeah, right, like always bleeding through stuff, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll throw this away now too. And every time it was like, oh, it's okay, like this is just your period, and I was like, no, something is wrong.
So did anyone once take you to the side and like do tests on you or do blood tests?
2 years into this, finally, this male doctor was like, I think you're fine, but I'm going to go ahead and recommend you to like a specialist. Sure enough, I walk into her office 2 seconds in. She's like, I looked at your file. I'm 98% sure you have a fibroid in your uterus that's causing you to bleed excessively, and you're going to have it surgically removed. But let's run some tests. It took her literally 2 seconds to diagnose that. And then we ran the test.
It was 2 years that
and 2 years
of trying to
and going to the doctor. It was the size of a grapefruit. I was basically pregnant.
I
had like a little fibroid baby. And it was terrible.
I'm so sorry. I'm so 2 years.
2 years.
Just like on the point that you were making earlier of how there's so much misinformation and lack of research in terms of women's health in general. Yeah. And it's like other women and like that have to be the ones to
advocate for.
And that's why we have to advocate for ourselves. I see that there's, you know, I talked about the lack of information and also so much disinformation. There's so many people who are online like me who are not health practitioners, who are not doctors or gynecologists. And when we talk about this stuff, people are like, you're not a professional. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of dealt with this for 10 years though. And I've also gone to like 11 different specialists. So I think that I can talk about it more than a lot of other people because I mean, I know doctors that you can go to and I'm like telling them, no, it's my GABA receptors, my allopregnanolone, and my progesterone. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I found that out.
They go to the site and Google. They're like, what did you just say?
Exactly. And then I figured that out and I supplemented. And now I'm not having blood clots and feeling like I need to die the week before my period. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to say that we should Google every single thing and that's going to help. But at this point, there are so many people advocating for themselves that if you look on enough search engines, be it Google or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you will find someone who's gone through your experience and that'll help you to even lead your doctor to diagnose you with something. Right. So we have to advocate for ourselves.
I think it really is even, I think a lot of women historically have used their circle of friends and their community to help advocate because it's always like we were actually talking about this yesterday. It's like, am I crazy? Is this also happening to you? Am I the only one that's going through this? Like I feel like that's always been how we, at least me and Vanessa, we kind of bounce things off of each other all the time. And with all the rest of our friends, it's like we could talk about skincare all the way to like, how bad are your cramps? Because is this what normal to feel? And so I don't know. Yeah, it's all about trying to build that community. And it's unfortunate that it's great in one aspect, but it's unfortunate that we have to come to this and we can't really like fully rely on the medical professionals that are supposed to be there to help you.
Right.
Yeah. And that, you know that meme where it's like the girls are talking to each other about like dating advice, but it's like clown to clown. That's literally how I felt like a few years ago before I started doing my research with my period. Because me and my friends were just like, let's just wear diapers and 2 tampons at one time. It was literally like clown behavior. Yes. You know what I mean?
No,
and
absolutely.
Like, girl, but we didn't have anything better. No. And then, these kind of natural health practitioners started actually popping up on TikTok. And I'm not going to say that every single one of them has completely sound advice because there are a lot of people who are just like completely anti-birth control. And I know that there's people who are who have PCOS who need things like Ozempic and birth control to manage it. So I'm just like, I'm not going to be 100% on this side or that side. I feel like Rif Care, I mean, we definitely have a point of view. We're not neutral, but there's a lot of ways and like I can see both extremes and I can see how they work for people. And I can also see how I can take that advice and leave what I don't need from that advice, Yeah.
Well, Rif Care, I know the whole basis of it is like it's hemp, right? So can you tell us more about how that came to be and like how that helps and how comfortable it is? Because Melissa and I have been talking about microplastics forever, and just the thought of those being in our body, it's just terrifying to me.
Yeah, there was a recent article that was, talking about how the fact that the tampons and everything that you're putting in your body, I know that it's in everything, but I was just, the fact that it was specifically period products that they were highlighting, I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, so I think the article that you're talking about is there's actually a reel on our Instagram if you go to @RifCare, and it says that there are now nanoplastics being found inside of fibroids and inside of the uterus lining and inside of placentas, and it's like, could that be because the outside of a tampon casing is actually made out of plastic and not cotton? So, I mean, I have a tampon box there if you want me to open one up, but I can show you what I'm talking about because it's actually quite shocking. So these are the Rif Care regular absorbency non-applicator tampons because I lived in Europe for a while and I was like, I'm gonna be that fancy bitch. We're like croissants and non-applicator tampons. Okay, so... But I will show you. So in a lot of tampons, they have this outside casing, right? So you see this outside casing here. I'm sorry if you're listening to this on a podcast and you're not watching this on YouTube.
So that means you should watch it on YouTube
You
or
should
Spotify.
Go to YouTube just for this. Go to, 15 minutes in. Okay, so this outside casing is made out of organic cotton on our tampon.
Okay.
But on a lot of tampons, this is made from cottonized plastic. So that is what is shedding the nanoplastics inside of women's bodies. And that is the sad part. So we make the outside of ours with the 100% organic cotton. And then also on the inside, it's got a cotton pulp. So it doesn't shed. The cotton pulp can't shed inside of your uterus. And also it just helps keep the tampon together. And then it makes it a little bit more absorbent. But a lot of people don't realize that this part on a Tampax is polyester. It's the same thing that your Lululemon leggings are made out of.
That makes me so mad.
Yeah.
I really didn't know until literally right now.
Yeah, it's like a polyethylene nylon rayon blend. So it's also like if they go, it's not bleached, but the process that it takes to get there is like,
that point.
And also if it's made out of polyethylene, that's a byproduct of oil and gasoline. So it's like fibers that come from processing oils and gasoline, and that's what they make
This is upsetting.
period products out of. I know.
Way more upsetting than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, when people say, oh, it doesn't matter, like organic cotton is just like a marketing ploy, I'm like, do you want a byproduct of the oil and gasoline industry in your vagina?
Literally.
I don't think so. I'd rather like
that.
be able to go to a farm and pick something and
Yeah.
know that that's what's going in my body. So that is the big difference. So what you're talking about, I mean, even so with cups, those are made out of silicone. Silicone is safe. But even with the disc, with the menstrual disc, they are made out of plastic.
Right.
And so those are shedding even more microplastics. And I'm like, when are people going to start to talk about plastic discs versus silicone discs?
Yeah.
So
that's why I went cup versus disc, because I knew the silicone was like a little bit better and long lasting too, and it's like antimicrobial and stuff. So that's why I'm currently using a disc. There's a learning curve for sure.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
You know.
Well, I've had an IUD in because of all the bleeding, right? So I've had an IUD in for years now, and I'm terrified because I'm coming up on basically like the end of it, and it's time to take her out and say thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going back to having a regular period because I'm not doing the pill. I'm not responsible enough for that.
Yeah.
So,
Me neither. You see my child.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm going back into this world, and it's like right now my use is very minimal, right? It's like pads here and there. But I would love to hear more about the underwear. I know you're wearing it right now.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Oh my gosh. Can I just like quickly?
Yes.
Okay. I'm wearing white. You see this?
Yeah.
Stark white, okay? Period underwear. They're just like life changing.
It's so cute.
so cute.
Life changing. Okay, so I'll go a little bit more into hemp because I realized I totally got off track. But so our period underwear are made out of hemp also. Okay. And the reason I love this material is because my ex-husband's a material scientist and innovator and built factories and all this stuff. So when we were living in Portugal, I was just watching him do all this really innovative stuff with materials. And I thought it was brilliant. And he had this brand called Livity, and it was in Whole Foods and all of this stuff. And they made their bras and underwear and everything out of hemp. And so the brand went out of business, but we had so much stuff in our garage. So I was always wearing it when we got together. Yeah. And I was just like, my God, I love this material. But it was like hippie looking stuff. And I was always thinking, I want to make a hemp brand that's just like not hippie. He's super hippie. Yeah. It's fine.
I feel like hemp has always been kind of.
It's so crunchy.
Yeah.
But when you look at our branding and our marketing and everything, I mean, people are like, it's so the opposite of crunchy.
And,
Yeah. I wanted, so before working on Rif, I actually worked at Goop and I was like working in the retail store, personal shopping, just like whatever, for 5 months, just so that I could like look at every brand, meet founders as they came in.
Did your research? Yeah.
People are like, why are you working here? You own like a company. And I was like, I'm going to start my own company. I just need to work here for a few months. And they were like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to quit in February, but like I'm working here. And I was like, I want
learn
people
the
to
trade by being in it, like
by doing it. Yeah. And I was just like, I need to see, because I need to somehow make these things like hemp and organic cotton and whatever more palatable for people. And the same thing with period underwear. Like it is kind of a crunchy granola, like reusable, blah, blah, blah. It's very niche. But how can we take something that's kind of niche and then have people move into it in a way where they feel sexy, where they feel like it's actually better alternative than the things they were using before? Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, Thinks and Nicks, they make great products, right? But when you start to compare to a natural material versus like a nylon polyester, right? Something that has its core of nylon polyester, that's the main fabric, the breathability is completely different. So if you're watching YouTube, here's another thing I'm going to show you. But basically with natural fibers, they open 4 ways. So they get to release bacteria and they get to be breathable. With synthetic fibers like polyester, they only breathe 1 way. So bacteria gets trapped inside and air can't travel through. So that's why when you're wearing like a polyester sheen dress, you are sweating your ass off versus wearing like linen or silk where you feel all of a sudden just like more breathable.
Yeah.
Completely different, right? So think about like when you know, like you're in high school and like, or college, you go to your boyfriend's house and he's got those nasty ass polyester sheets versus like going to a very, you know, and you sleep in them and you wake up sweaty. You're like, oh my God, like I sweated my blowout out on your friggin' polyester sheets. And then you go to like a really nice hotel and you wake up just feeling so refreshed. I feel like it's the same thing with period care. Like once you wear a Tampax next to Rif, the difference is insane. You can't go back. Yeah.
I could just We could just talk forever. But I did want to talk about, because I wasn't able to watch it, but Vanessa did her research and watched Side Hustlers.
I told her when I met her outside.
Okay,
we have to talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it.
So of course, like, love the fact that we're able to like showcase your product right now. But you were on a show. Like, first of all, I love reality TV, and I also love women entrepreneurs, and I described it as basically like a female Shark Tank.
Yes.
So you were on Side Hustlers, and I'd love to just hear more about that and like your experience through that and how it helped with Rif and your whole journey through it. I'm fascinated. I just need to hear about it.
I mean, I think it's every entrepreneur's dream to have like some big marketing moment happen. Yeah. And so this was the one that we had, right? It was like the exposure that we really wanted. And it's not like primetime TV. It's not like Shark Tank where there's like millions of viewers. Yeah. But it was a very engaged female audience, and it did have like hundreds of thousands of viewers for the show, which of course brought us thousands of new customers, whether it was Amazon or our website or online, and it's getting us closer to that goal, right? Of like getting a certain amount of people to know who we are and to engage with us and to know who me and Rebecca are as people. But the reason we got on the show was because I actually had a call from someone. They were doing this show and someone recommended me. I don't know who it was. Wow. But this is why you need to put yourself out there, because people are watching your LinkedIn posts. People are watching your TikTok posts. So we got a call. And when we showed up to set, I mean, people were like, we heard about you, the people who were working on the show. And they were like, we're really rooting for your company. And I was like, we are doing something right. Like we had the first phone call and I was like, we had to do like 6 phone calls, but I was like, I just feel like we're going to make it on the show. I knew at least we're going to make it on the show, and that was going to be great. And then we got on the show and I was like, I feel like we're going to make it to the end. Yeah. So the show was following, 5 or 6 entrepreneurs, depending on if you watch the show, you'll see not everyone always makes it.
Oh, we saw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And really, I mean, I feel like you guys just saw the surface. We shot for 12 weeks, every single day for 8 hours. And all you see is like
a little snippet.
3 hours total of the show. Yeah. But we went through all these different challenges. We got thousands of dollars of free consulting services. So that was fantastic.
Yeah. The resources that they gave you.
The resource that they gave us, like Ally was great, Roku was great, Hello Sunshine. And then, of course, Ashley Graham and Emma Green.
I love Ashley Graham.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, like marketing, she's so smart. Like she would just tell us things and I was like, oh, yes. Duh, why didn't we think of that? And it's like, okay, well, she works with some of the biggest brands in the world, so I think she knows what she's talking about.
She would know.
Yeah, and then Emma, just when you talk about investing and anything else in business and operations, like she's got entire teams.
I could listen to her talk all day. It
yeah.
Must be her accent, but
I'm like, right? She's like so cute and little, and then she opens her mouth, and I'm like, oh my god, she's like Warren Buffett. She's just like a little black Warren Buffett.
All of the information that you ever need. Yeah. It's just, I think it's so great because I think in the realm of reality TV, you can easily go down a path where it's just like, like the quote unquote, like, everyone loves to see like the train wreck happening, but I love when it's I love this version of it because it's again that woman community, that uplifting other small businesses and businesses owned by other women and women of color. And so that's why I think it's such a great opportunity and such a great platform to be able to have like your brand that is the goal to promote such a really good brand and something that's good for the environment and your body. Like that's the perfect combination of opportunity that you can ask for. So
and I think more entrepreneurs need to look at opportunities like that because they're happening all the time, right? There's like pitch competitions that you can do, which are local. You don't have to fly to LA to be at a TV show.
Or like grant opportunities and things like that.
Exactly.
Your pitch was amazing. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
They were sitting there watching like, they're so prepared.
Oh my god.
They're gonna make it.
Thank you.
Obviously knew that you made it. We're like, we see why.
But it's nerve-wracking. I mean, I have to go home right now and work on another pitch for another $25,000 grant. But it's like what I don't think people understand that part of being an entrepreneur is like constantly chasing money. People think it's me doing the social media videos because you see me and I'm like in my underwear showing me like with blood and all this stuff. But I'm like, no, my life is like writing grants and talking to investors and doing all this stuff. And I think my role is definitely going to change. Like we're just at a moment where like we're actively seeking capital. We just got a big grant for like $25,000. We're like in the middle of going through due diligence for investment right now. So that happens, and then you get to work on the business for a few months, and then a few months later you have to work on getting money, and then you have to work on the business. And it's like I don't want to be in that cycle all the time of like having to raise money, but I do think we live in that environment where it's kind of necessary because it's really hard and capital intensive to run a business. Like people think it's fun. I'm like, do you know our bank account, how low it's been, and then we still had to operate, and then finally this person paid us after 6 months, and they were like, we're good, and then it's like
all these things in the background that people don't know and to produce something that's really beautifully packaged product.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's like, I would not be doing this if I didn't absolutely feel like the world needed it and women needed it.
Yes,
do you know what I mean? Because I'm
absolutely.
like, at the end of the
It's
day,
a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
When I
much
look
work.
at it and all the time I spend away from my daughter and my family and like all the travel I could be doing and that house in Italy I could be buying, I'm like, you know, I'm like,
Not really, though.
I'm like, is it worth it? And I'm like, yeah, it is worth it. Like
Yeah.
whenever I get a positive review on Rif and I'm like, oh my God, that was so worth it. Like last month, all that drama we had where I literally had to be a truck driver in 114-degree weather. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I literally just threw my wig off and I was like, it is what it is. It's too hot for this. And I was like in a container, deep in a container, looking for regular absorbency because we ran out.
Oh my
And
God.
so we were like, you should see, there's this video and we're just like in the back and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this today? And it's like, oh yeah, because I'm not at the point where I can like afford someone to do things. Like I have to be the one to do things.
Yeah.
And then I get a positive review that's like, oh my God, it's my first period where I felt comfortable in 4 years. And I'm like, worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely.
Totally worth it.
Totally worth the
Yeah.
sweating in the back of the container truck.
It was 114 degrees in that
my
container.
God.
And I was like, I have to be in here for an hour. I was like climbing. It had spiders. I was like, it is what it is.
I feel like this is stuff they don't show on the show as much, right? They make it
No.
look real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved watching your guys' like photo shoot and marketing event.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Oh, that was the most stressful day. Like you guys got
Sure
to
it
see
was.
everything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, we had a cancellation. I had a model who didn't show up.
No.
It was like all this drama. My best friend was there with me and
Yeah.
he really helped to like coordinate and just make me feel calm. And then Rebecca was also 9 months pregnant while filming the show.
Right.
Like we filmed from 7 to 9
Forgot.
months
I was
pregnant.
seeing those clips. I
Yeah.
was like, she was pregnant.
She was
yeah.
full ass pregnant.
Full ass pregnant. Like even when we did the pitch, she was like sitting down like this, and then she got up and they were like, "The fuck is that?" I was like, "She pregnant."
Pregnant.
Yeah,
She's with child.
yeah. And I didn't know if that was going to hinder us from being on the show, but I was like, "No, it's women. They get it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if it was Shark Tank or
That might be a
something,
different
would they have
story.
been like, "Oh,
Right.
she's pregnant.
pregnant.
Actually, she can't be on." Because men are like that. I mean, we've had a lot of those conversations where, you know, me and Rebecca will have phone calls and people are like, "Wait, what's your background?" I even have people who've told me, like investors, like, "You're a single mom. I don't know how much you're really going to be able to put into this." Like, told me that, and like,
Even
is
though
that
you're
legal?
At this point where you've put so much into it, clearly.
Yeah.
Already.
Are they like, how are you going to be able to financially do this?
Yeah.
Like, are you married? You're not.
Why does that
Who's
matter?
going to support?
You could
This-
be married to a dependent. Or
Right.
he's relying on you.
I know, but these are the questions that
Okay.
like these investors ask you on these calls.
Well, we
It's
don't
really
want their
frustrating.
money, like anyway. That's-
Exactly. No, those
that's-
people,
yeah.
I'm like, we're not interested in them. They would
Yeah.
be horrible long-term
You're screening them
partners.
as much as they're trying to screen you, right? Like you
That-
don't want
you
your
should
money
be.
coming from these. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had to turn down like a few checks, and when we needed them, but I was like,
Wow.
that would be the death of us.
That must
Like,
be
we
such a
can't.
hard decision to make.
Yeah, it's easy, but like pride-wise, it's
Yeah.
easy, but financially, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh, what a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you were to share maybe one or two things that you learned from your experience on Side Hustlers or just like founding this product in general, what would you? Because I'm sure that there are people listening who you know they have their own idea, they love the space, maybe they want to get into it. So, what would you share with them as kind of advice?
If you like a soft life, do not become an entrepreneur. If you like struggle, if struggle pushes you, if you like working under stress,
That's real. That's real.
then do it. But if you're someone who's like, I'm trying to get rich, this is not for you. This is for you if, like I said, being in a 114-degree hot piece of metal for 14 hours is worth it for someone to leave you a comment on TikTok that's like, great video. Like, you know what I mean? It's like somebody telling me that I'm a good girl. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, if you live for that type of like masochistic praise kink lifestyle,
Yeah, sure.
then being an entrepreneur is for you.
Okay, but not if you're a soft life girly.
No,
No.
I would have
Gotta
married
rethink
rich.
that.
Trust me, I could have so many times over, so many times.
But you're
I wanted that.
choosing this life because you know at the end of the day it's worth it for what
Totally
you're
worth it.
providing to the world and
Yeah.
women everywhere.
Totally. When I see it in a grocery store too, I just like freak out every time. I'm like, you chose me.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
I can't imagine the pride you must feel, like walking into a store and seeing it on the shelf. Like,
Yeah.
I made that happen.
Yeah. Or like even more when someone who I don't know just like tags us and it's like, I saw Rif Care in this little place in like Idaho. And I'm like, thank
That's
you.
really amazing. Well, yeah, where can people find your
Yes.
product?
Okay, so we are on Amazon. We're on our own website at rifcare.com. We're also in grocery stores. If you go to our website, there's a full retailers list. But Gelson's, Erewhon, Market of Choice, New Seasons, Lazy Acres, Jimbo's, a bunch of natural product stores. And then Mom's Market on the East Coast, Mom's Organic Market. And we're constantly growing. So sign up for our newsletter. We'll send you discounts and updates and really fun in-person events. We give out so much free stuff in our newsletter. It's insane. If people don't subscribe, I'm like, you're
losing money.
Yeah, you're losing money if you don't subscribe. Girl math.
Yeah, girl math.
Yeah.
We love girl math.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you have a personal page. Did you want to direct people to that as well?
Oh, I'm at Malibu Mama. __.
Underscore.
Two underscores.
Yeah, which I kind of want to fight to get those underscores taken away, but there's another Malibu Mama. I'm like, you don't even live in Malibu.
Oh.
You live in Carolina.
Oh.
Get rid of the name. I'm so mad at her.
I mean, maybe she can become Carolina Mama instead.
I know, right? Now I'm going to try to buy it from her. But yeah, Malibu Mama on TikTok and Instagram.
Got it. Love that. And Melissa, where can listeners find us
Yes.
and learn more about our show, or they can find more episodes?
Well, thank you again, Val, for being here and telling us about Rif Care and all of these amazing products that I'm excited to try.
I know.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But so you can listen to this episode on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. We post on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok as well. I'm starting to post more there. And of course on our Instagram. So you definitely should follow Malibu Mama and also Rif Care on their platform and subscribe to their newsletter. But we release new episodes every week. So we will see you then.
Thank you.